If you think Frank is just a garbage tank that is very inconsistent, you're playing him wrong. After the recent balance changes in 2026, Frank is actually pretty deadly when used properly. So if you want to actually carry games with Frank, here's what you need to know. By the way, I pushed Frank to Prestige and played a total of 150 matches with him, so I promise I won't be giving useless tips. First of all, understand your role. Frank isn't meant to chase people across the map. You're not an assassin. Your job is to control space and make the enemy team feel pressured. With his huge health pool, you can walk forward and push opponents back without worrying. Perfect for gem grab. Just by existing near, you're already applying pressure. Attack timing. Frank's biggest weakness is that he stops moving when he attacks. That's why newer players swing constantly and end up getting destroyed. Instead of spamming attacks, focus on predicting movement. Watch how enemies dodge. Most players move side to side in patterns, especially when they're nervous. Try aiming where they're going to step next instead of where they are right now. It sounds simple, but this alone will make your hits land way more often. Also, bushes help a lot. If enemies see the hammer animation early, they'll dodge it easily. If they don't see it coming, it's a different story. Positioning, Frank becomes way more dangerous near walls. When enemies are close to a wall or stuck in a small area, their movement options are limited, which makes it harder for them to dodge your attacks. So instead of running straight into the middle of the map, try slowly pushing enemies toward tighter spaces. Corners, choke points, objectives are where Frank shines. In modes like Brawl Ball or Hot Zone or Gem Grab, controlling these areas is huge. Using your super properly, Frank's super is still one of the strongest abilities in the game. A full team stun can completely flip a match, but the biggest mistake players make is using it too quickly. Don't super the first enemy you see unless it guarantees something important. Try to wait for multiple enemies in a spot or in your range to secure free kills. Another great trick is using bushes. If you hide in a bush and enemies walk close enough, you can land a surprise super before they even react. A good stun like that usually leads to free kills. Plus, his hypercharge is absolutely broken. Gadgets and timing. Gadgets are a huge part of Frank. They can sometimes be as strong as a Buffy. Personally, my favorite gadget for Frank is Irresistible Attraction. When enemies keep running away from you, just use your gadget and the enemy will come in your range and you can use auto-aim to finish the job. Sometimes when camping, if an enemy is a bit far away from you, use the gadget and it can be a lethal surprise for your enemy. Plus, the gadget can stop enemy attacks, so please use it wisely. Team play. Frank works best when teammates play around him. Your job is to absorb pressure and create openings. When enemies are focused on dealing with a tank walking toward them, your teammates get easier shots and you can create unbearable pressure. If your team helps clean up after your stun, the match ends quickly and you leave with a win. If they don't, well, it's just randoms being randoms. That's why preparing a team before matches is recommended so you can plan on what to do and you can have great synergy. When to pick Frank? Frank is strongest on maps with tighter spaces and simple objectives. On very open maps with long-range brawlers, it can be harder to get value because enemies can constantly keep their distance. So if the map favors close fights and team battles, Frank can be a really strong pick. Final tip: the difference between a good Frank and a bad Frank is planning and patience. Bad Franks just rush in and attack immediately. With no plan and just continuous spamming, good Franks move slowly, control maps, and wait for the perfect moment to stun multiple enemies and claim free kills. Just remember, one good super can flip a whole match. In a good way or a bad way, it just depends on how you use it.